You are welcome to today's class as we continue navigating through our topic units and measurements. Today we're coming to the concluding subtopic of units and measurements, and we'll be looking at conversions of units from a multiple to another multiple. If you missed the first classes, you might have to revisit conversion of units from a multiple to a unit. So in today's class, we just have one objective, and I expect every student by the end of this class to recall and use the conversion table to convert units from a multiple to another multiple. I dealt with the conversion table in the previous class. I dealt with conversions from multiple to a unit in the previous class. So if you missed that class, you might have to revisit and check on the download link linked to this in the pinned comment so that you can go through before coming to this one. Right, I want to emphasize on something. We have two conversions according to our syllabi. Number one, we have multiple to a unit. Then we now have multiple to multiple to multiple. So last time we're looking at multiple to a unit. For instance, we used kilometers to meters. Kilometers, there is a multiple here, kilo, but a meter is just a unit without a multiple. So today we're going to go a step further and look into multiples to multiples. For instance, we can have kilometers being converted to micrometers. Kilometer is a multiple, micrometer is another multiple. So we call these multiple to multiple conversions. And that's the essence of today's class. So let's quickly get into it. Here is an example. We want to convert the following. I'll do A as an example. I'll give you 2 and take a short break. When I come back from the break, I'll give you the answer. Then I'll give you C as a practice question. So remember, when converting from multiple to multiple, it's a situation where we still apply the other principles we discussed. Is it from big to small? What do we do if it's big to small? We multiply. Is it from small to big? What do? We divide. Also remember that multiplying by a negative power is the same as dividing by a positive power according to the laws of indices. So these three will still hold. The only thing is, when we're converting from multiple to multiple, we are going to engage a two-step process. We convert from multiple to a unit, like what we were doing last time, then from the unit to the desired multiple. So, for instance, we're going to do A. For us to convert 3 kilometers to decimeters, we're going to use a two-step process. We convert kilometers to meters. That's step number 1. Then we convert the meters to decimeters. That's step number 2. So we've done a multiple to multiple conversion. So let's address this question. Convert 3 kilometers to decimeters. Step number 1, 3 kilometers to meters. We are moving from kilometers to meters. It's a multiple to a unit, and it's big to small. Then we are supposed to multiply. Multiply by what? By the factor kilo. A kilo is 1,000, or you can use 10 to the power 3. And this will give us 3 meters. But we have not yet answered the question. We are halfway, because the question wants us to go to decimeters. Now, using these 3,000 meters we've obtained, we can take a step further to now convert the meters to decimeters. So 3,000 meters to decimeters. A meter is bigger than a decimeter. So because a deci is 10 to the power negative 1. So a meter is bigger than a decimeter. If you have a problem, revisit the previous lesson on conversions from multiple to a unit. You see the conversion table then. So if we're converting from big to small, what do? We multiply. So we're going to multiply 3,000 meters by the factor deci. Now take note, deci is 10 to the power negative 1. But if we multiply by 10 to the power negative 1, we are not actually multiplying, but we are dividing. Why? Because we said multiplying by a negative power is equivalent to dividing by a positive power. Here we want to multiply because it's from big to small. So we need to remove the negative power so that we multiply. If we multiply, make a mistake of multiplying by a negative power here, we are actually in essence dividing. So we're going to remove, though deci is 10 to the power negative 1, we remove the negative power and leave it with the positive power so that we multiply since it's from big to small. And we're going to find 13,000 decimeters. So we can safely say 3 kilometers is equal to 30,000 decimeters. Now I'm going to give you this question where you're going to convert 45 milliamps to centiamps. Follow the two-step process. Convert milliamps to amps, convert amps to centiamps. After the break, I'll give you the solution. Enjoy the practice. You're welcome back. Let's go through this one together. Right, we want to convert 45 milliamps to centiamps and to engage a two-step process. First thing is convert milliamps to amps. We know that milli is 10 to the power negative 3, which is smaller than the unit itself because this is a decimal number. It's a fraction of an amp. So from milliamps to amps, we are saying it's small to big. When we're moving from small to big, we agreed that we divide. So it will be 45 divided by milli by an amp. Now we should be very careful. When we multiply by a negative power, we are actually dividing. So the moment I change the division sign and replace it with a multiplication sign, I should multiply by a negative power. Because x to the power negative a is 1 over x to the power a. 45 by 10 to the power negative 3 is the same as 45 divided by 10 to the power 3. And we're going to get 0.0045 amps. Once this is done, we take our answer to step number 2. We now want to convert 0.045 amps to centiamps. From amp to centiamp, it's big to small because the centi is 10 to the power negative 2, which is a fraction of an amp. Therefore, it's big to small. What do we do when it's big to small? We multiply. So we are going to have 0.045 from step number 1 multiplied by centi. Now, if we multiply by a negative power, don't make a mistake of multiplying at this stage by 10 to the power negative 2 because that is the one appearing on the conversion table. This factor is actually dividing if we multiply by it. So for us to multiply, we need to get rid of the negative power so that we are not dividing, but we're actually multiplying. So we multiply by 10 to the power 2 and not 10 to the power negative 2. At the end of the day, our calculators will give us 0.45 centiamps. So we have converted 45 milliamps to centiamps. In other words, we can safely say 45 milliamps is the same as 0.45 centiamps. Right, I will leave you with a question for practice. Convert 63 microvolts to kilovolts. By this time, I would say we are closing, and we have closed our first topic in physics, which is physical quantities and units. We'll meet again when we come to measurements. Signing out, the senior coach Chigo. Enjoy your day.